Okay, so hi everyone. We're going to get started. Welcome to SBB University. Today's event is actually brought to you by two Seniors Blue Books, Seniors Blue Book of Pittsburgh as well as Seniors Blue Book of South Central PA. My name is April Garrett. I'm the publisher of the Seniors Blue Book in Pittsburgh. We at Seniors Blue Book we decided to start a series of events called SBB University. We just feel there's such a strong need for education in the community, for aging well. And so we at least in the Pittsburgh market, we have decided to start offering SBB University on a wide variety of topics, really focusing on aging well and planning for what lies ahead. Of course, these events right now are virtual for the most part. We are holding ours every third Thursday of the month currently. And as things continually, hopefully with the vaccine becoming available, we will transition these to live events as well. If you're unfamiliar with Seniors Blue Book, we are a free comprehensive resource available to the community that's really designed and created for seniors and caregivers. They are available free at hundreds of locations across the state of Pennsylvania. Right on our screen, I have my contact information as well as Cynthia Gartman's, who is our publisher in South Central PA. You can always reach out to us anytime, and there's our phone numbers. You can reach out to us, or our emails if you would like to request copies of the Seniors Blue Book for yourself and to share with neighbors, caregivers, family members. Feel free to reach out to us at any time, or if there's any situation that you find yourself navigating through, you can always call us. We both have a free referral line, and we're happy to help navigate you through whatever you may be going through. Do we always have all the answers? We may not ourselves, but we have a lot of connections throughout the state that we can more than happy to connect you to those resources that can help. Today, we are honored to partner with Alzheimer's Association. They are going to be presenting on what we feel is a very timely topic for the start of 2021 on healthy living for your brain and body, tips from the latest research. So today we have presenters Deb Schley, who is a volunteer with the Alzheimer's Association of Greater PA. She also works part-time as an employee for Seniors Blue Book in South Central PA. How ironic. And finally, I got a chance to meet you, Deb. It's exciting to finally connect with you. We also welcome Sarah Murphy, who is the VP of Program and Services with the Alzheimer's Association as well. I think she's going to do a quick presentation at the end. Just a couple quick things to point out. We are going to be recording this session, so if you need to jump off at any point, we will be sending out the recording. Everyone who is attending will not be appearing on video. We will hide the video, so if you want to sit in your pajamas, we don't mind. And we also invite you at any point to reach out during the presentations with any questions. So I think pretty much we're all familiar with Zoom right now. So if you kind of hover over your screen, you'll see the chat. Just enter in your question, or we're a small group. We're all casual here. So if you want to just unmute yourself and ask a question, don't feel like you're interrupting anyone. I think we're all cool with that. But that being said, if you came on a little bit late, we did ask for you to insert in the chat. Deb was wondering who is here to attend for themselves, or if they are taking care of somebody with dementia. If you can just let us know in the chat so that she can help kind of finish up her presentation. Other than that, Cynthia, did you want to say hello real quick? I don't know if you want to say hello to everybody.
Hi everyone, this is Cynthia Gartman with Seniors Blue Book in South Central PA. I think April said everything, and we're just so excited that you're here with us today. I see lots of familiar faces and excited that you could join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen, Deb, so we can get started.
Wonderful. Welcome everyone. Glad to have you here today. And let me just share my screen. Just to give everyone a little bit of background about myself, like April said, I do work part-time with the South Central Pennsylvania Seniors Blue Book, and I am enjoying that immensely. And I think I've probably connected with some of you either in person or with the multiple newsletters and emails that I send. So it's nice to see you all here today. My other background, I was actually an activity director in retirement communities for the last 30 years. And part of that also is I'm multi-certified in memory care and have been volunteering with the Alzheimer's Association for many years now. I really believe in their purpose, which is why I enjoy doing presentations where people are able to get more information to be able to navigate, whether it's caring for someone, being a care partner with someone living with dementia, or if you're interested in learning more information about how to stay healthy for yourself. So today's presentation is Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body, tips from the latest research. And like April said, I'm fine with you jumping in at any point in time if you want to stop me and ask a question or insert information. I'm fine with this being interactive if you would like that to be. So let's get started. What we're going to do today is identify the reasons for taking care of yourself as you age. There is so much research of what we can do to help ourselves as we're aging to be able to age gracefully, and also help those that are living with dementia still be able to live a productive life. There are still so many things that they can do. So oftentimes people will focus on the fact of someone living with dementia can't do this or they can't do that. But I'm here to tell you, in the number of years that I've been working with people with dementia, they surprise you all the time. And I have said this numerous times. Yes, I've worked with people with dementia for the last 30 some years, but every single day I learn something new about interacting with someone living with dementia, because everyone's journey is different. So I saw from people putting information in, we're sort of a dual purpose here. Some of you are attending for yourself, and some of you are attending because you have someone living with dementia. So I'll try and interject some things with both as we go along. List strategies to age well in the following areas: physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition, cognitive activity, and social engagement. And then also to make your own plan for healthy aging using the Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body, tips from the latest research workbook. And there is all kinds of information available on the Alzheimer's Association website. So if you want to go and learn something more or follow up more with this, you will find all kinds of information on alz.org. Aging well does depend on your genes, but it also depends on your environment and your lifestyle. There are definitely things that can make a difference that you can do every day about your environment or your lifestyle. How many of you, and obviously you don't have to answer, but think about it. Have you seen someone who maybe in their 70s and they appear as they're going through life like they're probably in their 90s? Just because of decisions they've made or their outlook on life, and vice versa. I have interacted, I had a volunteer when I was working at one of the facilities. She was 92. She came in every day. She still drove. She still was able to get around and do things. And when she would go and visit our residents, she would talk about visiting the little old ladies and old men, when in all actuality, she was older than a lot of them and had so much energy and vitality. And a lot of it was the decisions that she made about her lifestyle and environment. Lifestyle choices may help keep your body and brain healthy. The brain is the control center of the body. Everything that we do comes from the brain, whether it's positive or negative. We can also give ourselves those negative things, and I'm sure we all do it. We give ourselves a message of, oh, you know, I can't do this, I can't do that. But if we go the positive, we can also make those changes with the brain as well. And there are 100 billion nerve cells and neurons creating this branch of network. Imagine what's going on inside of our brain. The signals travel through the brain to form memories, thoughts, and feelings. And one of the things that I've liked to learn about over the years is how those memories are stored in our brain. And it's amazing. You would think my favorite birthday party when I was 5 is stored in one little aspect of my brain right here, when in all actuality, that memory is stored in many different parts in your brain, depending on what part of it is. Maybe it's what you ate, maybe it was who was there with you, or the gifts that you got. And so that's why when maybe you're thinking about memories, you don't necessarily remember the whole memory, but as you're talking about it with someone else, you're pulling those things together. And with people living with dementia, there are times when they will be talking about a memory and they may pull 5 or 6 memories together and put it together as one. One of the things that I would tell you is, if you are caring for someone with dementia and they're doing that, the details of that memory are not as important as the feelings about that memory. So rather than correcting them and saying, now, Mom, you know it wasn't Tuesday when we did that, it was Wednesday, or it wasn't 1943, what you can do is ask them questions about that memory. And then what happens is the feelings are in the forefront, and the positive things about that are in the forefront, rather than, oh, well, you know, this is something I can't remember either. Signals traveling through the brain form memories, thoughts, and feelings. And unfortunately, Alzheimer's disease destroys brain cells. When you're looking at a healthy brain, it would look similar to a natural sea sponge. And when you get a sea sponge, when you first get it, it's hard and it's dense. And what happens when you put it in water is it expands and it gets nice and full. That would be about the difference between a healthy brain versus a brain that's being impacted by Alzheimer's or dementia. In case we need to take one little step back, sometimes people use Alzheimer's and dementia interchangeably between the two. And just to give you a little bit of an idea, Alzheimer's is just one form of dementia. There are many, many, many different forms of dementia. So dementia is that overall umbrella term, when Alzheimer's is just, I like to call it, one of the raindrops. Believe it or not, your heart and your brain are interrelated. What you do to protect your heart can also help your brain continue to operate at its best. So being heart healthy also helps you be brain healthy. And the brain needs blood flow. It needs oxygen and adequate blood flow to work well. And this was interesting. I hadn't remembered this until I was reviewing it for today. 25% of blood from every heartbeat goes to the brain. So if your heart is not working and is not pumping the blood properly, you're not getting that amount of percentage to go to your healthy brain. Dementia is caused by many different diseases and conditions. Like I said, it's an overall umbrella term. And people will say, oh, that's just a normal part of aging, when in all actuality, it is not. If there is damage to the brain is when you see those problems as far as memory. And it's not just memory, it's also processing. And so when you see someone who's going through the journey of walking with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia, oftentimes it impacts their entire life. It's not just remembering, it's also processing how to do things. Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia. It's actually been around since the early 1900s when it was first diagnosed by Dr. Alzheimer. And sometimes people will get the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, even though it might be another form of dementia. There are known risks for Alzheimer's, and it does include age, genetics, and there's been more and more studies about head injury, concussions, and things like that. My niece actually had a very severe concussion about 10 years ago now. And one of the things that she and I have talked about is the fact of memory and how that head injury could affect that. And what's amazing is she lost all of her childhood memory. She's 27 now. She lost pretty much all of her childhood memories at that point in time when she had her concussion. But it's surprising every now and then we'll be talking and she'll remember something that's so minute. And you're just sort of like, how do you remember that? But it is all those little connections that are happening in the brain, and the brain can heal itself and can create new synapses and connections within the brain. Cardiovascular factors and fewer years of formal education. And there are therapies for Alzheimer's, but unfortunately, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but it can only treat the symptoms. Unfortunately, we're still at a point where there is no cure, or there isn't even anything to slow the disease progression. It is a degenerative disease that just keeps deteriorating. So, what do you do to take care of yourself as you age? There's cognitive activity, physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition. And one of the things that people are struggling with right now is the social engagement factor. So we need to have all four of these working together in order to be able to be healthy as we age, both brain and body. So let's start with physical health and exercise. One of those things where people either go, ugh, or, oh, I really like that, or somewhere in between. Cardiovascular activity may reduce your risk of cognitive decline. Regular and vigorous exercise leads to increased blood flow, which, remember, we talked earlier about the 25% of the blood flow goes to the brain. And there is no single recipe. One of the things that would be an important thing to remember is to find something that you enjoy and continue to do it. Here's a short video that may give you a little bit of help along those lines.
It's surprising how you can easily build up habits of just taking 15 to 20 minutes out of your day to go down, hit the treadmill, and just do it. Just do it. Just get on it, put my headphones on, and just walk at a nice brisk pace for myself, build up a quick heartbeat, quick sweat, and it's amazing how quickly I can go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and then over time, 30 minutes, and over time, 40 minutes. Before you know it, you're up to 45 minutes of walking, and even at a higher incline and also at a higher pace. And again, it's all about incorporating habits in the choices that we make.
One of the things that you can do during this pandemic, even though it's hard to get together or maybe even go to a gym, take a walk outside. There are definite benefits, not only of the physical walking, but also just being outside in nature, getting some fresh air, looking at something other than the four walls that we're living in. But there are a lot of things that we can do. And like they talk about with being able to scale a mountain, if you take one step, it's one step. And so the important thing is to do something, not to beat yourself up that I haven't stuck to my New Year's resolution and here we are at January 20th. But it's something I can start tomorrow, I can start today, I can do something that changes that. For those of you that are care partners for people living with dementia, I would say for me as an activity director, one of the best resources that I ever would use for people with dementia is we would use punch balls. And we would get them active. And even if you just have your mom, dad, whoever you are caring for, or even if you are able to go and visit them in a facility, if they're living in a retirement community, what happens is if you're throwing back and forth a punch ball, and a punch ball is a little bit heavier than a balloon, so it has a little more weight to it. And if you're throwing a punch ball back and forth, if you start to throw it to them first at maybe waist height, and then you're moving up to chest height, and then you're moving it up to they're reaching over their head, guess what they don't realize? They don't realize they're exercising, they're just having fun. And the more memories and moments you can create for someone living with dementia, the better, because they may not remember it 2 seconds, 10 minutes, 20 minutes from now. But what happens in that moment is it helps to create those positive endorphins released for them. And so they are connecting in the moment. And that is so important for people with dementia, is to create those moments of joy with them and for them when they can't do it themselves. So what can we do? Do something you like. If you don't pick something you like, you're not going to stick with it. Start out small, move safely, and get your heart rate up. Now, I know right now it's hard with COVID about asking friends to join you, but if you're going outside, you're social distancing and you're taking a walk, you may be able to just walk with a friend and be safe. And if you do have other health concerns, you probably do want to check with your doctor first to make sure that it would be something that would be safe and healthy for you to do. So what else can we do? Stop smoking, avoid excess alcohol, and this is a big one, get adequate sleep. I don't know about you, but I struggle with this one. Trying to get enough sleep or enough uninterrupted sleep, because your body and your brain regenerate while you're sleeping. And it's actually, this isn't as much physical as it is brain health and memory health. Your brain sets those positive memories in your brain while you're sleeping. And so then you're more apt to remember those memories if you are solidifying that memory tonight when you go to sleep. I did talk a little bit about head injury, being very careful with your head and avoiding that. Managing stress. Any of you have stress? No, never, right? Managing stress is really important, and also treating depression. I'm sure you've heard on the news right now, as we've been dealing with this pandemic, how depression has gone up. And it also has brought about maybe a little bit less of a stigma about getting treatment for that, which is a good thing. Our mental health system is still very broken, and we need to make sure that people feel okay about going and getting treatment, whether it's meds or maybe it's talking to a counselor or something like that. And also visiting your doctor regularly, which also has been a challenge throughout the course of this pandemic. But we do have the whole technology thing and the virtual doctors. I don't know how many of you have done that. I have not yet, but still staying in contact with our doctors. Monitoring the numbers, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your weight, and your cholesterol. Those numbers are important because it does give an overall idea of your health, not only physically, but your brain health as well. The next one is also one that sometimes people make New Year's resolutions about: diet and nutrition. What's good for the heart may also be good for the brain. If you have done anything about healthy living, lifestyle, food choices, and things like that, nutritious food is fuel for the brain. And following some dietary guidelines can reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke, and diabetes. So we do have control over some of those kinds of things, even though some of it may come from our genes. This is Martha Morris, and she has a little bit of insight on that.
Shown to lead to healthy aging would be fruits and vegetables, and in particular green leafy vegetables and berries, as well as limited intake of high-fat food items that you get through high-fat dairy and cheese and red meats, and also healthy vegetable oils. So this would be, olive oil would be a good example, have been shown to reduce your risk of heart disease as well as dementia.
So we all know that But there are times when you want that little treat, or you don't want to change your lifestyle completely to add more vegetables and greens and things. But if you just even start with one small change, maybe you want to have a meatless Monday. You know, people talk about that all the time, where you make a new recipe that's mostly vegetables. Or if you're snacking, I just watched a recipe of someone doing chickpeas and making them crunchy in the oven and using that for a snack rather than chips, which would be much healthier. One of the things, if you are a care partner for someone living with dementia, you need to know that their sense of taste changes. And one of the last tastes that they lose is the taste of something sweet. Now, I know this might sound very unappetizing to you, but when I used to work in skilled care, we had a really hard time getting our residents to eat, especially proteins, and especially pureed proteins, because I don't know if you've ever seen them, even if you form them into something that looks like a patty or a shape or something, they still have like a pinkish gray tint to them, and they're not very appetizing. So what we would do, and this is just my little tip technique, it's not an official Alzheimer's Association one, and I know we are supposed to cut down on sugar and things, but what we would do for those residents to try and get them to get something that would taste a little bit better is we would take something like syrup or honey or even just a little sprinkle of sugar. And I know it sounds gross to put on meat, but we put glazes and barbecues and things like that. But it gave them that sense of that they were actually tasting something that tasted appealing to them. So it's a little bit of a tip or technique for you. The other thing, and this is just a little tip that we used also, and it's not the healthy greens and vegetables, but if you're just trying to get some protein into someone with dementia, one of the things that you can do is there's Boost, there's Ensure, there's all those different brands of shakes, but sometimes they're not as appealing to someone with dementia as a milkshake. So if you take one of those Boosts and Ensures or whatever and add actual ice cream to it, then it does become a milkshake, and it might be an easy way to help get some nutrition into them. You often have to be very creative and offer things at many different times of the day just to get some nutrition into them. So that's not necessarily the really healthy thing, but if you're just trying to get any nutrition into them, at least it could help with that. And what we can do, obviously we hear a lot about eating vegetables, fruits, nuts, beans, and whole grains. Nuts are a really good snack kind of thing to have just a couple of them, a few of them throughout the course of the day, just to keep your blood sugar in check. Lean meats, fish and poultry, vegetable oils. And obviously avoiding the saturated and trans fats, processed foods, solid fat, and I know I just said sugar, but avoiding that as well, deep fried foods and unhealthy fast foods. If you've done any research on any of that, it's amazing what they put into those kinds of foods to keep us buying them and eating them, which all those additives are not good. And you need to be careful about dietary supplements and vitamins. There are vitamins and supplements advertised everywhere, online, on TV, in the stores. Just make sure that you're getting reputable sources, and make sure that you're working with your doctor to be able to create that healthy diet for you. Cognitive activity. This and social engagement is probably one of my favorite things to talk about. Having been an activity director for so many years, creatively trying to find those things to keep your brain active. So if you are keeping your brain active, it forms new connections among brain cells. And it's surprising what your brain can do. There is one lady that I remember so well from many years ago. she had actually, her dementia had progressed and she was not able to talk any longer. She had no words. If you asked her a question, she couldn't even do the yes, no answers any longer. But it was amazing. She had been singing hymns all of her life. And if you would put hymns on, she could sing every single word to every single hymn. Because in your brain, those connections are a different place than if you are just speaking verbal words. So one of the things with people with dementia is to try new things as you're interacting with them, because maybe today something will work and something will connect. Maybe later today it won't. Maybe tomorrow it will be something different. And so if you are caring for someone living with dementia, it's important to keep reintroducing and also introducing new and different kinds of things. Cognitive activity encourages blood flow to the brain. So if you're getting your brain active, and they've done scans with this, where if your brain is active and it's engaged and you're learning or doing, it lights up. And so you want to keep doing those mentally stimulating activities, and it might possibly maintain or even improve your cognition. One of the things that I actually have read about, it was a study that they did about someone or about a bunch of people learning to dance. And it wasn't that they were coming and just dancing, which is also very beneficial, both brain and body, but they were actually learning new dances every week, and they were studying and doing scans of their brain, and it was amazing. As they were learning these new dances, their brains were firing. And it was one of those things with that. Also learning languages, they found that that is something that also helps your brain fire in different ways. So you want to try and find new and different things to do. One of the things also that you can just do on a daily basis is, let's say you're right-handed and you tend to do everything with your dominant hand. Try brushing your teeth or brushing your hair with your left hand. And what it does is it creates those new connections in your brain, where your brain is actually having to think to do it. Yes, it might take you a few minutes longer, but it's making those new connections. And those connections are what, if you have damage in one part of your brain, maybe it will help you be able to navigate, being able to still do something. Engaging in formal education will keep your brain healthy and can provide protection against developing dementia. There are so many opportunities, and I think things have increased because of the pandemic, of learning or taking tours of museums, or there are just so many opportunities online. So maybe turn off the TV for an hour and learn something instead, or even if it's something that maybe you had a little interest in when you were younger and you haven't re-explored it again because life. Maybe you have a little bit more time now where you can explore some of those kinds of things. This is Dr. David Bennett.
One of the most interesting factors is cognitive stimulating activities, which basically for us just means mental processing of information. It can be from a book, it can be from the radio, it can be a magazine, it can be from a lecture, it can actually be from watching TV. All of these things require processing information. And the old adage of, use it or lose it is actually something that turns out, at least from the observational data, to look like it's true. So numerous studies now have shown that being more engaged in cognitively stimulating activities is actually good for maintaining cognition. It's true in late life, and it's true in early life. And so what we recommend is that you start early, and if you're already late, start now.
If you don't use it, you'll lose it. That is one thing to remember. You certainly don't want to lose the cognitive ability that you have. You want to continue to be building on that. So what can we do? Read books and articles that challenge and inspire. You'll see the chess pieces there. I am not a chess player, but I have heard that that is definitely something. Thinking through the strategies and everything can help with that. Completing puzzles. I'm sure you've heard about Sudoku and doing those kinds of things. Learning new skills or hobbies, like I said, dancing, learning a new language, and engage in ongoing learning, which is, I also said, there are so many opportunities. Once again, just sort of a reminder to those of you who are a care partner for someone living with dementia, this isn't just for the healthy brain. This is for those people that are even far into the dementia journey, that they need to keep doing these kinds of things also. They might need to be adapted, maybe something like a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle. There are puzzles that, I want to put this delicately, there are children's puzzles that would be appropriate for someone living with dementia. You might not want to do cartoons that look real childish, but there are animals and things like that that people with dementia really enjoy doing, and they might have limited number of pieces. It used to be at one point in time, especially from an activity standpoint, was that it needed to be age appropriate, when in all actuality, it needs to be person appropriate. You would never want to treat someone like a child, but there might be, and with my staff, we used to call them tools. They change from toys that you might use with a child to tools if you're using them for someone living with dementia. And so utilizing some creativity to find some things that they might be able to do. You could even take a calendar picture, we used to do this, and attach it to a piece of cardboard. And maybe you would cut out only a 5, 6, 7 piece puzzle. And even if they weren't able to do that themselves, there are ways of interacting with someone with dementia where you're encouraging them to do it and you're not reminding them that they can't do it. You never want someone with dementia to feel like they can't do something. Everything needs to be a success-oriented kind of thing, even if you have to adapt it for them. So something like, if you're working on a puzzle with someone, you might want to say, do you think maybe this piece could go here? You're not saying put this piece here. You're helping them be able to work through that process so that they are able to feel the success versus, I can't do anything. So you want them to be successful also. And it's surprising at how many things they still can do. Even if maybe they were someone that used to do crochet work and they can't do that anymore, maybe they can still feel the yarn, roll a ball of yarn, do something that's adaptive for them so that it's still connecting with those memories and those skills that they had, but it's adapting it in a different way. Social engagement, that thing that we're having such a hard time doing right now, which is why we're on Zoom, right? So social engagement is still really important. Social isolation is very detrimental, not only cognitively, but also physically as well. So doing things like Zoom, if you have loved ones that are seniors, maybe helping them navigate, being able to do a FaceTime or a phone call, or a lot of the facilities right now are utilizing iPads and things like that. Is it the same as being in person? No, it's not. But is it better than them being totally isolated? Absolutely it is. And I must admit, I've felt so sad. I can tell you, I've cried tears for those seniors that are living in retirement communities right now. And I know some of you work in those communities and see it every day, and try to navigate that creative, not social isolation, but also be COVID safe. And so we do need to get creative with being able to do that. And staying engaged in the community offers an opportunity to maintain your skills. So one of the things that over the years, I would say one of the best things is giving someone a sense of purpose. And it's not just for those living with dementia, it's all of us as well. I'll give you an example from me. I was feeling like I had been in facilities for the last 30 years and I'm not in facilities. And I have the expertise that I would be able to help with the social isolation. And so throughout this pandemic, I have gone back and forth with being to myself, being, oh my goodness, I should be in a facility helping right now, to I am sort of thankful I'm not in a facility right now, because of the safety aspect. But I've had the opportunity to handwrite about 500 greeting cards, and they have gone to different facilities. Having said that, if any of you need greeting cards for your residents in your facility, let us know. We're doing handwritten greeting cards. And at least I was able to think about something that I could do that was bigger than myself, that might make a difference in somebody's day. So if there are things like that that you can do throughout this pandemic, or if there are things that you can help those living with dementia be able to do, whether it's helping you fold laundry, or could you please do whatever, fold these papers for me. What that sense of purpose does is it gives them a sense of I'm still needed, and I still am as a valued member of society. Remaining both socially and mentally active may support brain health and possibly delay the onset of dementia. Social isolation, like I said, is not a good thing. And so we need to be a little bit creative while we're still under this COVID challenge. Visit with friends and family. Sometimes that has to be on Zoom or a phone call or FaceTime. Engage with others. Maybe you yourself can think, oh, maybe I should give so-and-so a call. They live by themselves. Checking on people is definitely something that's important right now because there is such a high rate of depression. Staying involved in the community, volunteer outside the home. Talked about that a little bit. Right now, volunteers are challenging, but you can find those things where you can make a difference in someone's life, even though you're not able to go somewhere and physically volunteer. And join a group or club. I've seen so many groups online that people are doing now creatively, whether it's through Facebook or other avenues where you're able to still create a social group, whether it's having happy hour or playing a game together or those kinds of things. So there are some creative social engagement things that you can do even during the pandemic. Putting it all together. It's very important for all four of these things to work in our daily lives. Taking care of your health, get moving, eat right, keep your mind active, and stay connected with others. And you need to combine all four to achieve the maximum benefits. And so we talk about having a balanced life. This is one of the things to do to keep that balanced life, where we need to pull it all together so that we are all feeling like we're feeling that balance and we're moving ahead in what we're doing and how we're doing it. This is Dr. William Thies, and we can hear what he has to say about this.
Recently, at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference, there was a study reported of the results of a large clinical trial that was done in the Scandinavian countries. And in this trial, they took half the people in the trial and they adjusted their exercise level, their diet, their social engagement, and their mental stimulation. They developed programs for each one of those variables, changed all of those for the people that were in the test group. The control group just lived as they had been. There is a tremendous benefit to doing studies where we make changes and observe after the fact. That's a much stronger study than just observing people and trying to make judgments after life has changed for them. To my mind, one of the things that this has done is it's changed the force of recommendation that we might make around the benefit of these interventions for prevention of Alzheimer's disease or for brain health. And the fact is that I think it's moved it from possibly exercise, diet adjustments, social engagement, mental stimulation are useful, to probably. And that's a big change and makes it easier for people to make those kinds of adjustments for the benefit of their future health.
So from possibly to probably, those things do make a difference. And I can tell you from my expertise in working with people with dementia or seniors throughout the last number of years, being engaged and being actively part of their own life, it really does make a difference. And I am part of many different activity groups and have seen the different conversations that people have been having throughout this pandemic, and how do we make those changes and make things that are maybe a little bit more creative to be able to engage people. And it really is bringing to the forefront how important not only physical care, but also that cognitive and social care for people, seniors, as they're aging, that is definitely an important part of life as well. And so we need to remember that for ourselves. We need to do what we can do to increase our involvement in our own lives. Sometimes we go through life and we're reacting versus responding. And if we are in control of what we're doing on a daily basis, then we are more apt to respond rather than react. And we're more in control of what we're doing with our schedule. Remember, we talked about getting enough sleep, exercise, all those kinds of things. We schedule in so many things for so many other people. But if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people as well. It's sort of that adage of when you're on a plane, you need to put your own oxygen mask on first versus being able to try and help someone else. Because if you're not healthy, whether it's brain and body, if you're not healthy, then you can't be there for the people around you as well. What can you do now? If you see the now is in all caps, begin today. You know, every day is a new day. This minute is a new minute. Maybe you're sitting there and you're watching this presentation, and what you could do is just move your feet a little bit or stand up and dance. I don't care. You can stand up and dance. I can't see all of you. But do a little bit of movement, whether it's even when you sit down and watch TV and you're lifting your feet and trying to do a little bit more exercise that way. And start small and build. Remember, I said that climbing the mountain starts with that first step. And so taking that one little thing that will make a change, whether it's doing something cognitively or eating something a little bit healthier today, or, you know, I think I'll have some nuts versus some potato chips. And do what you enjoy. If you don't pick something that you enjoy, you're not going to stick with it. It's going to be a chore versus part of your life. And making healthy choices. Some of those are big choices, some of them are little choices. And also making a plan. I don't know about you, but you know, life happens. And if we don't have a plan or an end goal, or we're not adapting and we're not changing based on who we are and where we are in life, then we're just going to be going through life versus having that definite purpose. And getting support from others. And sometimes that means being accountable to others. I don't know about you, but if I'm making a change, I'm much more apt to do it if I tell someone else about it and they're holding me accountable as well. So it can be support and it also can be accountability. And then have fun. You know, life is supposed to be enjoyable. If you're not having fun, maybe I don't know if you like cooking, but, you know, have fun making a new recipe, or have fun. Like I said, you can learn to dance from online. You can find anything on YouTube if you want to learn something. And so having fun doing it. Or I even saw that we can now take virtual tours of the Louvre and all these different museums all around the world that we can't travel to right now. So find something that really sparks your interest, and that's what's going to continue to get you on your way toward continuing and maybe enhancing your brain and body health. If it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. You can find cures for anything on the internet. Just be a savvy consumer and be careful with what you're ordering or what you're buying into, and make sure that it is something that is viable. And be cautious when you hear huge promises or reports of miracle cures. There are even things out there that, you know, oh, we can cure COVID. Or there are things out there that say, oh, take this and you won't have dementia any longer. You know, there are those kinds of things. Do your own thorough research, and then consult trusted, reputable professionals, your doctor, a pharmacist, the Alzheimer's Association. Like I said, there is all kinds of information on the Alzheimer's Association website, and you can go and get information there. And here's all the resources. You can go to alz.org. There's alz.org Find Us, which is support groups, and there are support groups that are taking place online right now. So that you can actually, if you are providing care or being a care partner with someone living with dementia, and you just need some support of someone else who's going through the same journey, there are still support groups available, and also education programs like this. Training.alz.org, there's free online education programs. And one of my favorite resources to tell everyone about is the helpline, 1-800-272-3900. There is someone there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will be somebody answer the phone. If they don't know the answer, they will get you someone who does know the answer or can help you through. And there are no questions or concerns that are too small or too big. If you are caring for someone with dementia, it can be a challenging journey. And sometimes you just need someone outside of your family or friends just to be able to vent to. And they can help you with that as well, because once again, you need to remember to take care of yourself. Getting involved. There are, even throughout this pandemic, there are ways that you can get involved. Wait, you could be a community educator just like me. So you could present presentations like this, but if you're not someone that likes to do that, there are all kinds of other things. We do have virtual walks with the Alzheimer's Association now. So even though we can't get together and have those big party kind of walks, there still were many creative things that took place last year, and people have all kinds of ideas for things for this year. You can volunteer, and the longest day is June
21st. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to say 20. I wasn't sure. 2021. It's the longest day of the year, and it's a very creative time to be able to do something for the Alzheimer's Association and to remember those people that are living with dementia. Being an advocate with the number of people, it said that if you don't know someone who has dementia or are a care partner for someone with dementia, you will. And we need to constantly advocate for those funds to be able to go for research, continued research, because there are just way too many people that are affected by this disease. And then there's also the trial match. I would encourage you to do that and to try and find out if maybe there's something that you could help with. Additional resources, there are programs in the community, the local area agency on aging, local senior centers. A lot of them aren't operating right now. And the community park programs, like I said, a lot of these things aren't operating right now in the way that they used to, but some of them have been able to navigate in different and creative ways. The National Institutes of Health and Institute on Aging, What's on Your Plate? That is a resource about healthy eating. Go for Life. The Administration on Community Living, Brain Health as You Age. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Cooperative Extension System, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We've been hearing a lot about the CDC lately. And once again, the helpline, 800-272-3900 and alz.org. Both of them very, very good resources. And anyone have any questions at this point? April, are you?
Hi. Hi.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the trial match.
Sarah, can I send that to you?
Yeah, that'll go right into a very brief little update I have. But
Great.
thank you, Deb. Deb is one of our rock star volunteer community educators. Amazing, Deb. You are, I have to say, you are amazing. I just want to acknowledge that in front of everyone here today. So that's a great question. Trial match, and again, sorry, my name is Sarah Murphy. I work for the association. I'm actually housed here in Pittsburgh, so just a little bit of background. So trial match is similar to Match.com, if you want to compare it to actually lining up an individual who is interested in being empowered to give back to research. We need more people enrolled in clinical trials in order to accelerate the pipeline of more effective treatments for Alzheimer's and other dementia. And so there's no commitment, right? If you were to go to trialmatch.com, or you can also find it on our website, you can fill out a survey, a brief survey. It talks a little bit about your background. If you have family history, you don't have to have family history in order to potentially qualify for a clinical trial, but there's a lot of quality of life trials that are actually studying lifestyle factors, potential, pieces to that we're always looking for volunteers to enroll. And so what Trial Match does is it modifies that search for you to the closest one. And then it provides to you more information if you're interested. So no commitment once you actually log on, and you can call a 1-800 number and talk to a consultant, and they can provide you a little bit more information as well.
Thank you.
Oh, April, you're on mute. Sorry.
Oh gosh, sorry about that. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I just thought it was great information. Thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely will share.
Good.
Well,
That
great.
is helpful.
Yeah, Deb is fantastic. We're so grateful for those of you who attended today. And what I'm going to do is, I don't even know if I'm going to need to share my screen. I mean, I might. Am I able to? I think I can. Yeah,
Deb, I think you just need to close out of yours.
Yep.
Okay, so excuse my email. So what I want to briefly do is just share with you so as an update. So we talked a little bit towards the end there about research, right? We heard from Dr. Thies, who is one of no longer actually with the organization, but some of the work that we are doing in particular. I'm sorry about that. This is a brand new thing. Wanted to just briefly highlight the work, because I feel like a lot of times in the news, unfortunately, you hear about the negativity about certain trials or certain things not developing or progressing as we hope, because obviously the part of the vision of the Alzheimer's Association is a world without Alzheimer's. But in the meantime, wanted to just give you all, to kind of tie into this presentation that Deb did, a little bit of insight about what we're doing to actually advance Alzheimer's disease and research in particular. And so this really just highlights the impact and the work that we're doing on every front with Alzheimer's disease. And we actually, you can see the numbers here. A big part of what we do at the association is actually convene researchers and scientists globally, because that's how complicated this disease is, that we convene 5,000 to 6,000 researchers and scientists to come together every year to talk about their studies and latest information on research. And you see how much money we've invested. Here locally, we have 5 to 6 funded researchers here at University of Pittsburgh, for those of you in the Pittsburgh area. So we found some really innovative studies, both pharmacological, bench science, to quality of life. And so talk a little bit about the hope. So there's actually, at any given moment, there is discovery happening with research, and probably none of us are going to hear about it, because we're only going to hear about the huge developments in research, or, like I said, the negative developments. But there's a lot of work that is currently being done at the association. And so one app, like with COVID, we've been married to our phones and to online pieces. But the one thing I really encourage you, and there's a couple of very specific lifestyle studies that are happening right now, to the point that was at the very last slide of Dr. Feast, who talked about, there are some 5 to 6 clinical trials that are actually studying like kind of a mixed approach with lifestyle interventions, and potentially lowering one risk for Alzheimer's disease. So an example, one study that was done showed that if somebody controls their blood pressure, their systolic blood pressure, to 120/80, they were at a 19% reduction, reduced risk to getting what's known as mild cognitive impairment, which is potentially could be a precursor to Alzheimer's disease. And so again, that was a study done with 2,000 participants over a certain age. But what we're finding, that's one study. So what we're finding is that there is potentially, when you look at eventually what we want to see in life, is similar to what we do to help treat with heart disease and other things, that it's actually going to be a therapeutic approach where we look at lifestyle interventions and medications. And so again, there are risk factors out of our control, right? Age is the number one risk factor. Family history, we have to think about things that we can control versus what we can't control. And some of us who are control freaks, like myself, that's difficult for us. But the one thing as we think about this, and as Deb said perfectly, what's good for your heart is good for your brain. There's more and more science and more studies that are showing that, one is at greater risk for developing Alzheimer's disease later in life if they are at risk for midlife obesity, type 2 diabetes, all of that. And so some of the tips and suggestions that was provided from Deb is spot on, and it's something that we actually need to have conversations about even earlier in life to talk about that importance of brain health. So wanted to share that with you all. And this app here, it's free. If you go to the App Store and go to the Alzheimer's Association Science Hub app, you actually will get, and it's actually in jargon that's simple in layman terms. I will clarify that. So there's information on the latest tips on research, viewpoints, talking points. And what I want to clarify are talking points that debunk myths or misconceptions that you might see in the news, right? To one of Deb's last slides about being a savvy consumer. There's a lot, people are going to market off of fear. And people fear getting this disease. And so this will actually clarify, and you just see here, can diet stop Alzheimer's? You just see that on the screen. It actually has good viewpoints and clarification on all of this here.
We can't see your screen.
Oh. Have you not been able to see my screen the whole time?
Nope. It says you're sharing, but we can't see anything.
Huh. Let's see, I apologize about that. Here we go.
What I see now is a Gmail account. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Have you been just seeing my Gmail account the whole time?
No, just one screen.
Oh, just the last second. Okay, all right. Well, so this is the most important screen here. So thank you for that, Deb. The Science Hub app, then it kind of gives you a snapshot of the kind of the pieces and what you'll find once you actually go on that app. And so it's something that I highly recommend to really empower you, and or if you're here today, whether you're a caregiver or you're representing someone who does connect with people or work with people and families going through this, to share this with them, because there are real evidence and information out there that I think would be helpful. So I wanted to share that with you all as we wrap up here of the presentation Deb had provided on some practical tips. And then as we know that there are actual studies going on out there that's showing, really talking about lifestyle and how that can potentially impact one's risk for Alzheimer's disease. And so I will, it looks like there might be some questions, but I will open it up for questions. And I'm going to now stop sharing.
I don't think there were any questions. I think it was just a lot of awesome jobs.
Great.
I do have a quick question as far as the greeting cards that Deb mentioned. How do we go about helping with that?
You would like to write greeting cards?
Yes.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Which area are you in? Pittsburgh or
I'm
South?
in Pittsburgh, yes.
Okay.
I'd be happy to introduce you to.
That would be great. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. What a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Sarah. Good seeing you, Cynthia, and everybody else on the call.
Thank you. Great stuff.
Yeah, we'll send out the recording. So if anything was missed, we'll just blast it out to everyone.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.